All right, let's get started. So welcome everyone. This session is about Dynamics 365 for Talent, and specifically we'll be talking about extending the solution, so extensibility that comes with Dynamics 365 for Talent. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So before we get started, I would love to get a sense of who's in the room with us today. All the folks who were here this morning listening to our sort of roadmap and our new features, raise your hands. Most people. Okay, cool. In terms of familiarity with Talent, how many folks here are familiar with Talent and what it offers today? Almost everybody. Perfect. And how many partners do we have in the room? All the partners in the room, raise your hands. Cool. And prospective and current customers? Anybody? Oh, perfect. Cool. So we have a little bit of everything. So by way of introduction, I'm Harsh. I'm one of the product managers on Dynamics 365 for Talent. I focus on the recruiting product, which is Attract.
And I'm Jill Carter. I'm a program manager on the core HR side.
All right. So the agenda, and we're going to spend the next 55 or so minutes that we have doing is basically doing an overview of Talent. I'll quickly tell all of you what Talent has to offer for those who are not aware. And then we'll go into talking a little bit about CDS, which is really the basis for a lot of the extensibility that comes with Talent. And then from there, we'll go into talking about the Power Platform and extending Talent specifically with the Power Platform. I'm sure you guys have been hearing a lot about it with all the other talks today. It was mentioned in the keynote as well, PowerApps, Power BI, and Microsoft Flows. That's really the Power Platform. And we'll do some demos and maybe show you a few examples of what we're talking about, maybe build one live, see how that goes. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of time for questions and discussion as well. If at any point in the talk we lose you, please raise your hand, ask a question. Really feel free to sort of jump in with a question at any time. Sound good? Cool. So, Dynamics 365 for Talent. Currently, we are really focused on so the HCM space, and in particular the HCM space, we're focused on solving three different problems. The first one is recruiting, so figuring out how you sort of get the best talent into your organization at a really fast rate. And of course, what's important there is not just the time it takes for you to hire the best talent, but also the fact that it is the best talent, that the quality of the talent is super high, and all the users for our apps are having great experiences. The other problem that we're trying to solve in this space is one of onboarding. So once you do get your sort of hires into your organization, how do you get them productive and having an impact on the very first day that they come into work? And the third part of Talent is about core HR, where all of your core human resource workflows come together under one roof. So going back a little bit, on the Attract side, which is the recruiting module, we're really focused on, as I said, improving the time and cost to hire. So we have support for all scenarios, all end-to-end recruiting scenarios, including sourcing, where we really have a deep integration with LinkedIn to help you do all of the sourcing for your organization. We have great job management and candidate pipeline capabilities, so you can really manage all your open positions, create job postings, distribute your jobs, get the applicants, and also, of course, create a pipeline of applicants for future positions, as well as, of course, end-to-end applicant tracking. Once you do have somebody in your pipeline, how do you actually get them through the hiring process, which, of course, is customizable, and get them from applying to really accepting an offer. On the quality of hire front, we have really tried to do a lot of work with the knowledge that Microsoft has in the AI domain, and trying to really bring in some of that intelligence, that predictive intelligence into the system. So we do this through recommendations for For recruiters, where we really try to see who the best candidates are from amongst the pool that has applied to a job. But even proactively, once you do create a job, we try to really enable the recruiter to be as productive as possible by looking at your candidate database, all the people who've applied in the past, and seeing if you have really good matches in there who might be a good fit for this job you just created. We are trying our best to sort of make the experiences with all of the Office suite, with our productivity suite, as seamless as possible. So, of course, recruiters live in the application tracking system, and we expect them to. But for other personas like hiring managers, interviewers, etc., we would expect them to really keep working where they work today, which is really in the Office suite for the most part. And so we have great integrations there to allow them to bring sort of these HR workflows into their daily workflows, so that they don't have to have a second job on the side as hiring managers or interviewers. And then, of course, we have integrations with some of our other assets at Microsoft, specifically in the Business Applications group with Forms Pro, for example, which we're using as our assessment solution. And as far as interviews are concerned, we have really nice interview scheduling capabilities where we leverage the fact that Exchange has a lot of information about people's calendars, people's availabilities, and really making that super easy. On the offer management side, we have very deep capabilities trying to both template offers and offer packages, but also being able to create and distribute those offer packages and really land the candidate as quickly as possible, because it's super important. The moment you have somebody interested in the job, and once you've assessed them to be the right fit, to get them that offer as quickly as possible and get them in the door so that your competition doesn't get to them first. Moving on to onboard. Onboarding really is focused not just on the administrative side of onboarding, which everybody's familiar with, filling out your I-9 form or filling out sort of your paperwork to be registered as an employee of an organization. In the US, that of course takes the form of the I-9, but globally there are so many different workflows for getting your employee into the organization and just getting them set up for success on the very first day itself. What we focus on the other side, though, is also their experience and their sort of being brought into a new organization where they're working with a whole new set of people. They're trying to sort of really become a part of a new culture, and an important part of that is sort of your first few days at the organization, and also before you even come in your first day. That period is very taxing as a new employee. It's quite stressful, to be honest, because you don't know what to expect. And with onboarding, we're really trying to help organizations bring in the people in a way that they want to be there and they want to be productive the very first day itself, and they're not as stressed out about the unknown. So really trying to get them familiar with the culture, helping them connect with people on the team, helping them sort of really ramp up as quickly as possible, because they have so much to absorb. And that, again, brings us to core HR, which is housing all of your core human resources workflows. And that goes across benefits, compensation, leave and absence, and so many more. And really, with that, we are trying to decrease your operating expenses as much as possible. And having all that data in one place itself is such a great start in improving your HR workflows, because one of the most common problems we've heard from organizations is that they have 5 different systems of record for 5 different kinds of HR operations, and their HR professionals are struggling to just make sense of what's where, and also how to get that data to sort of talk to each other. And then, as you can tell, there's a part of this picture that we haven't really talked about, but which is the actual focus of this talk, which is all about extensibility and the ability for you as an organization or as partners to be able to really customize talent for an organization's very specific needs, because every organization is special. They have workflows that are very idiosyncratic and are very unique to them. And of course, what this means is if you go into the market today and you look at all the other solutions out there, the cost of customization is super high. And because we have a sort of set of power tools in the Microsoft ecosystem, and we've sort of kept extensibility in mind as we've been building these products, it's super easy to really customize and extend the product, even though, of course, the core product is trying to address your base needs out of the box. Any questions so far? Cool. So why extend talent? Now, I could have listed 1,000 things on this slide probably, but I'm going to focus on 3. The first one is what I just mentioned, about every business being unique. Really, with human resources in particular, and things like recruiting, and of course your core HR sort of workflows, they are also unique to your organization depending on where your organization is based, how many people you have, how many employees, how fast you're growing, and of course the way your organization is structured. And the amazing thing about talent is that while we address a lot of those needs out of the box, we know that we won't be able to meet all of your 100% of your needs from within the core product, and so we've made it really easy for you to customize. And really, for some of those workflows that are very administrative or can be automated, we do allow for that, and that in turn allows all of the users of these systems, your recruiters, your hiring managers, your HR professionals, to really be more productive and focus their time on some of the people aspect of HR as opposed to just the administrative aspect. The second point on there is about connecting to existing HCM solutions. So we already talked a little bit about organizations today using 5 different systems of record. And what we don't expect you to do is rip all that out, overnight and really sort of change everything over to, say, Dynamics or Talent in particular. You probably want to do that piece by piece. I know that it can be a very long, drawn-out process, moving systems of record like that. And you also may have solutions that you're really happy with for very particular sort of segments of that sort of HR workspace. And the nice thing about Talent is that we do allow for you to retain as many of those sort of, let's call them point solutions in sort of your HCM workspace, but at the same time allow them to talk to our database, allow them to both sync data in and also extract data out, so that you don't have to change everything over overnight. And the last point on there is just to say, it's a raison d'être. It's basically saying that we have really kept this in mind, kept the fact that we won't be able to meet all of your needs out of the box in mind as we've been building our solutions. So that brings us to architecture a little bit. So I'm going to touch upon this. Please, again, feel free to ask questions if I lose you at any point. So as we've been developing Attract, Onboard, and Core HR, we've really been in deep conversations with our customers to understand what their needs are from each one of these applications. And the reason you see a difference between Attract and Onboard and Core HR on the other side is really vested in that conversation with customers and trying to understand customer needs. With Attract and Onboard, when we talk to customers, we realize that a lot of times they want to be able to implement Attract and Onboard really quickly, or sort of get it working as fast as possible, especially Onboard, where we really want to make it easy for hiring managers to welcome their new hires into the team day one. And with that in mind, we've created these apps natively on top of CDS so that it's super, super easy to roll them out and start implementing and start using them. It's a 3-part system, of course. You have your client code, which is what all of your end users will interact with. And that's sort of connected to a layer of business logic, which we've called app services up there, which is the middleware, which really is where all of your business workflows are sort of constructed, and that's where the logic rests. And over a secure line, all of that logic, and of course the client, which is where you interact with the application, it talks to the Common Data Service for Apps, CDS 2.0, which is your operational database. On the core HR side, we've, in our conversations with customers, realized that while they really liked what they saw with core HR, there was a lot of room for customization. There was a lot of need for customization. And with that in mind, we constructed it in a way that Everything was extensible right from the client to the middleware to the database. And really, Core HR is based on the same stack as F&O, so it is very similar because it builds on top of that same stack. But there's a data sync component to it, which also pushes data, some of the data, into the common data service. And once again, this allows you to have all of your data resting in one place. And as you can tell, there's one other jump in there, which is between the common data service and Azure Data Lake AI Analytics. And really, you could pretty much put whatever you want in that last box, because with common data service, you have such an amazing ecosystem of connectors, connectors out, that you can pretty much plug in whatever you want into that operational database and get it working. Questions, please. How does Business Central fit into all of this?
From Business Central isn't on CDS yet. So as soon as we're able to do connectors between CDS and Business Central, that would be where we would look to that. We're talking with, we're all the same team. So it's just a matter of, from a planning perspective, where and timelines. It's a question that we get quite a bit, specifically with the talent piece of it, because there isn't necessarily a core HR component to Business Central at this point, and how we can enable some of those scenarios. It's not there today, but it's definitely something that we've heard, and we've been talking with the team about how we can move that forward.
Is core HR sitting in the same database as FinOps, or is it a separate database?
The question is around, is core HR sitting in the same database? It is not sitting in the same database. It's totally sealed and separate. It's its own standalone service, so it's a sealed service. So different from finance and operations, where you're actually writing code and extending forms on the finance and operations side and writing right to the AXDB. The AXDB for the data structure is the same in core HR, but the database is sealed. You're not able to add tables to it and add those kinds of things to it, but the data structure is the same. It's just sitting on its own, in its own service.
All right. So picking up where we left off with common data service really connecting out to a really large, sort of broader ecosystem, what we've allowed for building on top of the common data service is really plugging into a very rich ecosystem that not only has connectors and gateways that have today, I think, over 230 different out-of-the-box connectors that bring data in and can take and read data out of the system, but also allows for a lot of pro-dev extensibility. So if you have an IT team that really wants to sort of develop on top of our existing solution and really sort of help fill in some of your special needs, you can absolutely support that right off the top of CDS. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, you have all of the Power platform also available to you because of the fact that you're putting all of your data in the common data service. And these include, of course, tools include the Flow, PowerApps, and Power BI. And of course, what goes without saying is the fact that you have your sort of Office productivity suite as well as the Dynamics suite available to you in order to sort of really seamlessly integrate into the same workflows that you are enabling through our applications, because Common Data Service, again, forms the backbone of all of our data. And the connection there, again, is seamless and allows you to do a lot more than you would be able to do with some of the other systems out there. So we're going to transition into talking a little bit more about the Common Data Service. So the way the Common Data Service is set up, really, every single entity that you have available in our applications, especially on the attract and onboard side, and I know that a lot of the core entities are also available in the Common Data Service, but all of the entities in attract and onboard are available to you through the Common Data Service. What that means is that all of the data that you see in these applications, you can also read through the database. And when you're able to do that, you can really create any kind of solution that you want on top of that data without having a replication of databases and having the kinds of issues you have when you have 3 different systems of record and you need to sync between them. You don't have overwriting of records, you don't lose records, you don't see corrupt records as much, and that is really, really powerful. But what's amazing is also that you can not only read and sort of interact with the existing entities, you can also create your own. So, for example, attract some of the base entities in the recruiting solution are the application, the candidate, the job. If for some reason you wanted to create a new entity around like a job board, for example, or maybe you even have a recruiting agency that you work with and you want to create certain sort of special entities for them to work with, you can absolutely go ahead and do that. And of course, with the existing entities, you have the ability to add on more fields. So if for candidates, your organization loves to be able to record things like maybe age or really just about anything, you can put those custom fields on those entities and then create views on that data or sort of create experiences on that data that will allow users to input and of course read that data, consume that data. In addition, we also have business rules and validation to ensure data quality. It's a super important point, this one, because when you have an open ecosystem like this where you have the ability to really extend and create any kind of entity, you need to have some checks and balances in place to make sure that you are not sort of shooting yourself in the foot with the ways that you're interacting with the data. So we do have business rules and validation that will help ensure data consistency, even if you build a completely customized solution on top of entities that you created yourself. Importing and synchronizing data from other systems becomes super easy, as I mentioned earlier. Connectors and gateways into CDS allow for that pretty seamlessly. And your entities are always available to you via the Power Platform and all kinds of SDKs that the platform is building for us. What's amazing about being built on top of the Common Data Service and being able to sync data to the Common Data Service is that we don't have to spend as much time building the kinds of APIs, etc., that you would otherwise expect from a solution like ours. And we can spend all that time instead focusing on really building out those core capabilities and building out that sort of the core functionality and moving that forward. And really, it's been amazing to build on this platform because for all of the kinds of scenarios that are specialized for your organizations, for any given organization, we have the ability to empower our partners as well as our customers to really go and do it themselves if they so wish. All right. So next we're going to talk a little bit about the Power Platform. We're going to touch on flows and PowerApps. So flows, of course, are really helping you really work smarter by automating workflows. What this means is that any kind of workflow that you have that is somewhat predictable in that there is a trigger for it, there is a particular condition that starts the workflow, and if the workflow has any sort of structure to it, if there are steps to it, like if you can list down step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you take when that workflow is triggered, you can pretty much replicate that using Microsoft Flow and automate it completely. An example of this would be if your organization likes to let the hiring manager know that a new candidate has applied for their position, and maybe you also want to let interviewers know, and once the candidate is hired, you want to let an onboarding team know that, hey, this person is going to be coming into the organization 3 months from now. These are all very sort of point-in-time workflows that would otherwise require these people to really send those emails, somebody would have to compose those emails, and this is really all very, very administrative, right? It's a lot of overhead. People hate doing that kind of work. You can automate all of these kinds of workflows using Microsoft Flow. And what goes without saying is that while I'm making it sound very simple, you can really complicate these as much as you want. You can have all kinds of logic that bifurcates or branches and has loops, etc. There's a question in the back. How many levels deep do you want to go with flow? It really is up to you as to how deep you would like to go. I'm sort of turning the question back onto you, but that's absolutely true. So you could be building flows that have a lot of complexity. In my experience, when I've tried to develop flows, sometimes it's easier to break down those. Once you sort of start going past 5 steps, you can really break it down into multiple flows that build on top of each other, right? So you can have an initial trigger that maybe executes 3 steps, and once you get to step 4, you really sort of start a new flow at step 4 to go from there, as opposed to trying to build all of it in one single flow. Does that sort of help? Yeah. Okay. The other thing with flows is that all of this it has a lot of strong security built around it. It also has all the sort of data governance that you would need as an organization to make sure that you are compliant as far as data needs are concerned and data retention is concerned. Connectors, you again have access to more than 230 pre-built connectors that can talk to other systems of record and really help you get whatever you need to get done as quickly as possible. At the end of it all, ProDev extensibility is always there for you to use. So flows are really meant to be quite simple, and anybody and everybody can really sort of get in there and start building. But if you so wish to put your IT department on a flow project to really build something complex, they can absolutely go ahead and do that and embed all kinds of custom logic with custom programs in there. PowerApps. So again, I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with what PowerApps has to offer, but just to sort of recap, PowerApps allow you to create both mobile and web experiences for your business very, very quickly with very low code solutions. Really, again, talking to all of that data that you have resting in CDS, being able to view that and maybe even execute certain operations on it. Like one of my favorite examples of what you could do with a Power App in our space really is if you have a company app, for instance, where you expect your sort of employees to have that on their phone, things like leave an absence or even things like being able to have a view of your pipeline as a hiring manager becomes super easy. And if you just put that in your company app where any hiring manager or any manager really would expect to go on a day-to-day basis, it makes it really simple for them to access this information that would otherwise require them to go into a different application, a different ecosystem altogether. And really that's where PowerApps comes in and really sort of moves the envelope on making people work in the places where they would like to work. A lot of the same things apply that we just talked about with flows. You have great connectors, you have, again, a lot of security and governance support. ProDev extensibility is always available to you, so if you wanted to really complicate a Power App and really make it very, very robust, you can absolutely do that. Connectors are always available, and the platform to begin with, at least, is meant to be very easy to use and sort of very simple to construct new applications using. So with that, we're almost at the demos, but one quick note on cloud and on-prem connectivity. I know some organizations are still have a hybrid approach when it comes to how they organize their data. If you so wish, you can keep that sort of hybrid approach to your data going with Talent as well. You can have certain data being pumped up to the cloud, whereas all the other data could be resting on an on-prem database or an on-prem data store. And with your data gateways that are available to you through CDS, those are super, super easy to maintain and sort of allow for, again, this sort of bifurcation of data stores, if you will. That picture really sort of paints a bird's eye view of what's available to you in terms of connectors to CDS. So these are all the kinds of services that CDS supports natively in terms of being able to pump data out to or read data in from. This just gives you a quick sampling of what's available with it. Great. So with that, we're going to do a couple of quick demos and show you some of this extensibility at work in the application. So the first one I'm going to do is actually a fairly straightforward flow where I'm going to try and build a simple flow that whenever you post a new position to your career site, because of course Attract has a career site that you can post jobs to, it'll go ahead and also post a message on Twitter saying, hey, on the company handle, we just opened a new position, go check it out on the career site. So let's see how complicated this can be or how simple this can be. Yes, absolutely. Is that better? Perfect. Okay, so where I am right now is Microsoft Flows. So this is the home page. I'm going to navigate to my flows because I'm currently logged in, and I already have some flows that were existing, but I'm going to create a new one. So let's go ahead and get started. Here I have 3 different options. I have automated, instant, and scheduled. I'm going to go ahead and do automated because I'm trying to create a flow that happens every single time that a certain trigger happens to be hit. Now, if you wanted something more instant where you just wanted to have almost like a button that you push and a flow executes, that's what instant is for. And scheduled is simply saying that that flow will be executed every so many hours or on a certain cadence. I'm going to give this a quick name. So Twitter postings. And it's asking me to choose a flows trigger. And this is really saying, what is that initial impetus that we are looking for when we're trying to really execute this flow? In my case, as I said, I'm trying to create a flow that would post a message on Twitter whenever a new job posting is created. So what I'm trying to do is really tap into the fact that a new job posting was just created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the common data service because, as I said, everything is done through CDS. And when I look up the available triggers that filter out, I see there's one for when a record is created, there's one for when a record is deleted, and there's one for an update. In my case, as I said, I want everything, this to be executed when a job posting is created. So I'll choose the trigger that is related to creation. And this is the view that I get with my initial trigger setup already. So when it asks me to choose an environment, I'm really trying to sort of figure out what environment I'm in. So we have this concept of a tenant, which is your sort of Uber organization level how would you explain a tenant? A tenant is really talking about, like, at your organization level, all of your data is residing within one sort of physically isolated database. So that's what a tenant is. Environments are multiple sort of instances of these applications within your tenant, and the reason we've done this is really to allow for things like testing, where you might have a test environment where you really try to do things in a sandbox and test new features, etc. And then you can have a production environment where all of your real data, the data that your company is running on, is resting. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the one that I'm logged into, which is Lydia's CDS for apps. The name that I'm looking for, and so this is asking me to choose an entity that I'm interested in. The one that I'm interested in is job postings, so let me go and see if I can find job postings. There it is, so I will select that. And in terms of scope, I can choose business unit, organization, or a couple of other options. In my case, I really want to scope it at the organization level, so because I want to do this for every single job that's posted for my organization. And I'm going to go ahead and choose an action next. So I already have a trigger, which is whenever a new job posting is created. As I said, I want to post a note on Twitter every time. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the Twitter connector next. And there is some sort of intelligence that also goes into building a flow. So it's kind of detected that, well, if I'm trying to do something when a record is created, most likely I'm trying to do something like posting a tweet because I'm listening to a creation event. So I'm going to go ahead and choose posting a tweet. And I'll just say, hey everyone, you just opened a new position. And at this point, I probably want to include a link to this new position that I just created. And what you can see on the right-hand side over here is it's giving me a few suggestions of what I could include. And this is really based on the record I just, so the record I'm listening to, which is a job posting. So while some of these the ones above are interesting, what I'm probably looking for is something like a job post URL. So let me go ahead and select that one and see. I'll just hit save. At this point, I feel like I have enough here to maybe try and test it out and see if it actually works. So I'm going to choose test, and I'll choose the option where I perform the trigger. Usually, once you have a few test runs, you can even do it using some of the data you had from your previous test runs. But I'm going to go ahead and save and test. So we're pretty much all set on this side. What I need to do now is go into my application and actually try triggering this flow from there. So I'm going to move over to attract. I'm going to go to my jobs. So for those who are not familiar with this is the attract experience. And what I'm currently looking at are my jobs. So I have one of the sections at the application at the product level is jobs, and I'm looking at a list of all of my jobs, and I'm going to just select one. Say the senior sales consultant. I'm going to go to my postings, and I'm going to try removing this post and posting it again. So I'm going to post this job to the career site. So this is to the talent career site that you get as part of the application. So you have a career site that your organization can use to host all of the jobs that are available. And it's as simple as that. Like I have posted the senior sales consultant job out to my career site, and so I would expect that at this point this flow is probably triggered. And lo and behold, it seems to have done so. It ran pretty quickly too. Let me go and open my Twitter page. So let's see. Oh, interesting. So here's the tweet it just created based on the flow that I just created for you guys. And there's another flow I think that is being triggered, which I was testing out earlier. But so it's working. So you saw that like to really create a flow that posts a job out to Twitter every time, it took me all of like 2 minutes really, and as I was talking through it. So let's go back and maybe try and sort of do something a little bit more with this, because right now all we're doing is posting a very simple tweet. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and one level of complexity that we could add is we could really try and actually get details about the job posting that I'm posting out to Twitter, right? So I've only posted a URL, doesn't really make much sense. Sorry, there's a question in the back. Yes?
Have you had success doing this posting to Twitter and getting applicants off of Twitter?
What was that?
Have you had success getting applicants off of Twitter for posts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So an example of this workflow that sort of like works really well end to end is when your organization is very active in social media and you have a lot of people looking at your Twitter handle. That is one way people do find jobs, and increasingly so these days. People are finding more and more jobs through social media. And so I would post this job out to Twitter, somebody would click on that link and maybe go apply for the job. And what's nice is Attract is able to actually track the journey of that applicant as they may have gone to Twitter and then sort of gone through the career site to apply. We are able to tell all that information on the Attract side and really help you as an organization make better sense of what your sourcing channels are and where you're getting your applicants from. And we in fact have reporting capabilities that build on top of that to allow you to have a view on that data as well.
In the environment, you selected a demo environment, for example. You've now finished testing this. How easy is it to get it into your production environment?
It's about as easy as it is to actually do the test. All I need to do is really go into, I can export this, the flow that I just created, and I can plug it and I can install it into any environment. It's a two-step process.
Change the environment to your new environment automatically. So if you've got, say, 30 flows that you're testing,
Yep.
you don't want to manually change each environment in those flows.
Mm-hmm.
Would it just automatically change it to your new environment?
It would. It's a very simple export-import process. So you would just export all those 50 flows to a file, and then you would just import that file into any environment that you want to have all those flows in. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to just add a little bit more complication here and add another step where I want to really get information about this job that this job post is for. And currently, this flow doesn't really have much context of the job itself. So what I probably want to do is get the CDS record for the job posting related to the job opening related to this job posting. So I'm going to do a get record action where again it's going to ask me to choose the environment. I'm going to choose the same ones as last time. The entity is interesting, so now I need to choose the entity that I'm interested in getting the record for, and this time I am interested in job opening. So job openings is right there. And the last thing it's asking me to choose is an item identifier, like what is the identifier that I'm going to sort of use to get the record. And what's interesting is it is using some of the intelligence based on context that it has about the CDS instance to give me some suggestions of the kinds of identifiers I could use to get the record. So in this case, I'm trying to use the same, or trying to get the same job opening that I had been listening to the job posting for. So the job posting that we just created, I want to get the same job that the job posting was for. And so the one that I'm looking for again is right in front of me, is job opening, which is the unique identifier for the job opening associated with the job posting. It's even telling me what I just said to all of you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to go to my tweet step and say, hey everyone, we just opened a new position. We are looking for A, and here's where I can now start using the data from my job opening to really populate the text of the tweet. So I want to say, we are looking for A, and I'm looking for the job title here. So let me search for job title. We're looking for a so-and-so job title in, and I probably want the city that I'm looking for, that I'm trying to sort of recruit for that position. So address city, easy enough. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back to my job here. I'm going to unpost it and repost it just for simplicity. So I just want to quickly put this in test so that it's executing. And once again, on the Attract side, it's as simple as just clicking the post button to actually post the job out to the career site. Once again, we go to Twitter, and I'm going to refresh. Give it a sec, see if it actually runs. There we go. That one took a few seconds, but it should have worked. And there it is. So we are looking for a senior sales consultant in Redmond if I go to my job and actually look at the details, I am indeed looking for a senior sales consultant, which is the title up here, and the job location is in Redmond, so there's a whole address, but I looked at address city in particular, and so it read out Redmond onto Twitter and posted a message there. So that gives you a good sense of how easy it is to really work with flows. Again, the assumption here is that you would know what the entities are that you are interested in. And for that, we have documentation that actually talks through the kinds of entities we have available and the kinds of entities that you are really creating / editing every time you are doing a transaction in one of the applications. So the next thing that we're going to look at is...
Just to give you a time check, there's 12 minutes left.
Just 12 minutes left. Okay, I'm going to be very, very quick on the Power App so that we can move over to Core as well and see some examples from there. The Power App that I'm going to show you guys is one that we've already built. And let's start a new session. So this is what the Power App editor looks like, just to give you a sense. Just loading. So the scenario that I built this Power App for, and I built this a little earlier, is one of posting a referral as an employee. So many organizations love to have their own employees really bring in the next set of talent because, again, it's a free way of sourcing new talent. And so this is a very simple Power App that only asks you for 4 fields. It asks you for the first name, last name, email, and LinkedIn profile of an employee, and I sort of built this in under the Microsoft branding. Now, if I want to actually see if this Power App worked, because it's, again, relating this information to the candidate entity, and it's going to try and create a candidate out of the information I provided and put it in a talent pool that I have as a recruiter. So what I would do is I'm going to play the Power App. So at this point, this Power App is live. It's actually reading the data, and it's going to execute based on whatever sort of entities I've asked it to create and relate to. So I'm going to say refer Chuck Edwards. I'm just going to make up an email. I'm going to make up a LinkedIn URL. I'm just going to hit submit. And so this Power App I would expect to sort of do something very, very simple again. I can post this on my company job page, my company portal, and allow people to submit referrals using. And if I actually go and look in my sort of talent pools, right? So I have, as I said, I have a referral talent pool set up already that this Power App is feeding candidates into. I see that instantly that Power App has managed to create a record and give me this sort of information about this referral. It even tells me who actually was the source of this referral. In this case, I was logged in as Lydia, so it's saying that the referral was made by Lydia. It has the LinkedIn information and the candidate details. Of course, I could have complicated this Power App and included a resume or included work experience and education, in which case those sections would also have been populated. So that gives you a sense of, like, again, what really you can do with Power Apps and flows when it comes to relating those to our current our application offerings. I want to give you a chance as well to show some stuff on the core side. So with the remaining minutes, we'll do that. Any questions so far while we're getting set up for that? Yes, sir. So they do have connectors to your Gmail account. So yes, you could potentially have an extension that looks at calendars for external providers like Google, for example. Yep.
So from a core HR perspective, thanks, Harsh. Like Harsh mentioned, the same concepts apply when it comes to flows, creating flows against core HR data that's available in CDS, creating PowerApps against CDS data. The referral app is a great app to think about when it comes to building out that employee experience, because that's really what a lot of the extension is about, is rounding out that employee experience to be able to give them all of the tools that they need in a single place, making sure that they have what they need to be productive. So when it comes to extending core HR along with flows, along with PowerApps, there's also the ability to add custom fields to be able to track additional information as you're creating those custom fields within core HR, having them flow into the common data service to be able to build off of those. Personalizing, again, that employee experience with PowerApps, and also some other external type of links that you can put within the application. And then also we have, in some private preview, being able to actually embed third-party apps via iframe to be able to have those within the actual app as well, especially for those, again, to fill out some of those business processes, whether it's health and safety, whether it's some additional training. There could be multiple scenarios where someone, an organization needs to be able to extend and fill out that employee experience. Unlike the attract and onboard that are written directly on top of CDS, as we talked about, talent is part of core HR, is basically a subset or a part of the finance and operations platform. It takes advantage of that platform. And what that gives the core HR piece is all of the great platform capabilities, but that means that we're actually writing entities and creating entities on the CDS side to match up with the data that we have in the core HR database. So today there's 50 plus core HR entities. We're about halfway there, a little over halfway there when it comes to entities. There's also not every single table or every single entity has the ability for custom fields at this point. We're working through those. Yes, you have a question? The question is, was all of this included in the $40 a month license? CDS comes with core HR when you buy it, so yes, all of this is included in that. You can see here that we've got some of the custom field, again, entities that are available. We'll quickly just flip over to core HR. And take a look at a couple of different examples. So we can see here, I'm logged in again I'm in as a manager, I'm also in as a human resource director. And we're gonna focus on the employee self-service area first. Again, it's all about building out that employee experience and filling in those areas where, again, we may need some additional information. So you can see here, I've got a tab for my information and my team, but I also have a couple of different areas available to me. And the first one is a benefits area, where I have actually embedded in my benefit provider information here. So this is simply just taking a URL to my benefit provider. The key when we think about embedding third-party apps is they have to be allowed to be embeddable. They need to be able to support that iframe. So there could be some applications, if you're building an application that you want to be able to embed within core HR, you need to, or within any app, you need to make sure that it can be embedded. And so you can see in this example, we're just embedding the benefits. I also have a PowerApp embedded here as well. That's the Company Pulse PowerApp. This Company Pulse is a sample PowerApp that's out there. I just pulled in that PowerApp. Harsh's example of a referral would also be a great one to include on employee self-service, to be able to have a referral right from employee self-service and submit that referral. And again, it would go through that same process. I'm submitting it from core HR. I submit that referral. It writes it out into the CDS that then gets picked up by Attract and is in those talent pools. So really completing that whole loop when it comes to building out that employee experience, but also then building in that pipeline through the employees that you have in the organization. From here as well, there's a couple of different, when we think about providing those experiences, there could be things that I have vendors for. I have uniforms, people need to order uniforms. I have a separate payroll system that people need to go be able to check their pay stub. I may have an external learning system like LinkedIn Learning that I'm using. I need to be able to provide that type of information to the employees where they expect it to be, and all of that is in our employee self-service. So we think about that. Under additional information here, I've got here our open jobs. This is actually the open jobs pulling from Attract. So I've put that link in here to go out and take a look at the open jobs that are available in the organization. I can go out and look at my pay stub. Again, if I have ADP, if I've got Ceridian, if I've got an in-country provider that I'm using for my payroll, I can link out to those pay stubs and include that information, as well as any training. Again, LinkedIn Learning, if there's a separate training, if you're using Cornerstone, if you're using one of those others, just put a link in, and so they know where to go for everything that they need. They just go to Employee Self-Service. It has all of that information for them. Another piece to that is for those customers that are using both finance and operations and talent and core HR, there's a lot of the financial pieces, expense reports. There could be some project information that you want to be able to have tracked or have them get easy access to. I can simply add those fields as well, or add those as well. I can add a link to expense reports in finance and operations. It knows who I am. It's going to pass me across as that employee, as that user, into finance and operations, and bring me to my expense reports so that I'm able to then take action on those if necessary. One thing to keep in mind, since it is, and one of the questions that we get almost immediately when we start talking about expense reports and some of those is, what about approvals? Well, I see approvals within talent. Today, there isn't approval unless you go to that specific menu item of approvals and put that onto the links here. But that's something, again, that as we're bringing things closer and closer together, we're always thinking about how we can make that experience better from an employee perspective. The last piece that I just wanted to show briefly here is related to custom fields. We talked about that a little bit. And when it comes to custom fields, there's always going to be data that you're going to be tracking either about employees or about positions that are specific to your industry, that are specific to your vertical, that are specific to your business. There could be things that you're doing within your organization that, to be honest, we don't know everything that customers are tracking. And so we want to be able to enable those scenarios so that you're able to do that for yourselves as well. So if we take a look at our employees, for example, there may be fields such as employee subtype. So we've got contractor, we've got employee, but we don't have things like if they're seasonal, if they're a volunteer. And those may be certain things that you want to track because you're not going to do, for example, probably compensation for those employees that are volunteers. You may have separate processes for those employees that are seasonal versus ones that are full-time employees. So by simply adding in that employee subtype within the application, I'm able to then add that additional bit of information on those employees so that I can use it to drive some of those processes. Maybe I want to be, at the end of the year, I have a party for the seasonal folks. They're coming in over Christmas. When it hits President's Day is when they're done, but I want to celebrate and tell them thank you for joining us for the holiday season because we know that it's crazy kind of thing. So there's a lot of great information that you can drive from this, as well as, like Harsh had mentioned, if you're wanting to build out those experiences and you have some mobile experiences or other types of processes that this kind of data is required, if it's health and safety related and you need to understand what kind of position that they are in. Is it something that is a high-risk position? I'm going to build that into the data so that when I build that Power App, I'm able to track that information. Maybe they get hazard pay, for example, and I want to be able to track that information on the employee. So I can do that with those custom fields as well. Another example is on position. When we take a look at our positions, there's examples of it. Maybe you track something differently, or there's different rules that apply for compensation for executives. Or if you're looking from a light succession planning, you want to track those executives and then also be able to say, well, who could be potentially the person that is going to replace this person if they leave, and just start kind of tracking that information. Again, it's not a full succession planning system, but at least gives you some information to be able to say, okay, here are executives, here are some potential people that could replace them. Maybe we need to start looking at those employees a little bit closer. And for these specific examples, once they are added here in Talent, if I go over into CDS here, you can see here are those custom fields that I added. Here's my executive. Here is my possible successor field in here. So I'm able to then build and extend off of that data and be able to bring that process all together when it comes to making sure that we've got all of the information that's required, I'm able to track and do that across the organization. Just bringing all of that together. Again, the key and the whole point is to build out that employee experience, build the solutions, and build those things that will help fill out the business processes that you may not have covered in the core application itself. A lot of the questions that we get from the core HR side is, when is this entity going to come? When is this entity going to come? Those are some of the ones that we get the most. From a roadmap perspective, we're looking at priorities. We've sent out surveys. We listen to customers. Right now, we're focusing on kind of adding some of the custom field information and reason codes so that we can fill out that leave story. Harsh had mentioned about leave requests, mobile leave requests. What we're doing is lighting up scenarios so that an organization can build a Power App that is a simple Power App for a leave request that people can have on their mobile device that will then go through, and we're adding the capability then to have a flag or a separate status so that workflow recognizes it. So you can actually use workflow within Talent, not necessarily flow. To do that, the workflow within Talent uses the hierarchies. It can use multiple hierarchies. Flow only uses the line hierarchy because that's what's available in CDS today. And so when we're thinking about those are some of the scenarios that we're looking at moving forward as well. And we're over time, so I apologize for that. Let's go back here and this one. We did answer some questions throughout, but there's another session in here at 3:30. If there are questions, Harsh and I can kind of take them up here while the other session gets ready. Make sure that if you want to be an influencer, again, there's some information here. Fill out your evaluations. There's some session resources as well. And just thank you again and appreciate your time today. And also, if you have any other questions, feel free to visit us at the booth. And there is an extensibility workshop tomorrow morning if you want to learn how to build a Power App and what it looks like. So thanks, everybody.
Yep, thank you.